Hi, I'm Quincas and I'm a synth DIY guy. So, as some of you already know from some of my previous videos, a little while ago I was in Burbank, California for the Synthplex show and I met Roger Linn. And he demonstrated for me the Linnstrument controller that he designed. And I was immediately sold and I had to get myself in debt and buy me one. And here it is, and I've been using it very happily with my analog synthesizers and with some software. But the way that he sold it to me was he paired it up with these unbelievably realistic virtual simulations of acoustic instruments called the SWAM instruments from Audio Modeling, which is a company in Italy. And I was super in love with how expressive I could be, how realistic the cello, the saxophones, the clarinets sounded. And it was part of what sold me on getting the instrument in the first place. And to complete the trio, I'm using Bitwig right now, which I'm just starting to learn. But right out of the box, I prefer using it for these instruments because the MPE editing on Bitwig is much easier to access than on my other DAWs. I use Pro Tools and Reaper, but this one gives you a really easy way to edit the pitch bending and the expression data in case you went a little off with one of your glissandi or with your vibrato. So it's really easy to make minute adjustments and fix little mistakes you might have made. So here we are. This is a video to show off this trio, which is the Linnstrument 128 controller paired with the SWAM instruments by Analog Modeling, and all of this hosted in Bitwig. So here I have a session open in Bitwig, and the way I'm going to demonstrate this, I'm going to make 3 videos: one for the cellos, which is this one for the clarinets, and one for the saxophones. And basically I'm going to compose an instant avant garde track, okay? So instant contemporary classical music by improvising 4 takes, and hopefully it'll sound okay. So let's get going. The first thing I'm going to do is open up the SWAM cello, and I'm just gonna drag it right here to a new track. Okay, it takes a little, like a second to load up. Now here's the SWAM cello, right, by Audio Modeling. Right here in the load preset button, there is already a preset for the Linnstrument. It comes with it. So now everything is mapped to my Linnstrument, and I can close this up. Now I just need to make sure that the MPE is activated. So I click here on what is the device panel button, and there's a use MPE button. I plug that in, and then it'll respond to my Linnstrument perfectly, except that I have to change this range here from 48 semitones pitch bend range to, I think, 12. Let's see if that does it. That's it. So I've got a plus and minus 12 semitone pitch bend range set on Bitwig here in order to match the settings on both my Linnstrument and the SWAM cello. So here is a quick demonstration. So it picks up velocity, right? And in fact, Bitwig has a really cool keyboard display here that is actually shaped like the Linnstrument. And it shows you graphically. So if I hit this hard, you see a big orange circle. If I hit it soft, the circle is smaller. And then how bright the circle is depends on the aftertouch, right? The pressure sensitivity. And now there's a little line that goes up and down, which reflects my vertical movement on the pads, on the Linnstrument pads. And that affects, let's click here to see the SWAM instrument. That affects, right now on the cello, it affects where the bow is. So if I move it up and down, it changes the position of the bow, which in turn changes the timbre of the instrument, right? A couple other cool things you have here on the SWAM cello. There are different instrument models. So I'm using Roma S right now, but you could go to Roma M. You could go to Cremona. You could go and so on. Cremona M, Firenze S. So you could actually layer a bunch of cellos with different timbres and make it sound like an ensemble, right? Another thing you can do is play mode. You can change it to pizzicato, right? But we're gonna colegno. I don't know exactly colegno is. Oh, I think it's hitting. Yeah, that's it. You're hitting the string with the bow. So that's there too. So this is unbelievably complete. You can turn on harmonics right here. Click on here and it's like bowing really close to the bridge where you get harmonics. So there's a lot you can do. I'm not gonna go over everything you can do, but yeah, second overtone harmonics. It's pretty crazy. You can even do sort of like some crazy effects that you would normally not be able to get out of a software version of a cello. Anyway, let's go back to... And now, obviously, one of the great advantages of using the Linnstrument is I can do glissandi, which normally you can't do on a keyboard. At least not as fluidly as that. And with full manual control, so you're not counting on anything that's pre-programmed. And the vibrato, right? So my vibrato is actually not an LFO or anything like that, nothing pre-programmed. It's actually my finger just rolling over that note and making a very natural sounding vibrato. And I am a string instrument player. I play upright bass and I do play a little bit of actual cello. So I have that movement down. I know how to do a cello vibrato. And obviously the pressure allows you to increase the amplitude and change the timbre too, which is something that's really hard to do on a normal black and white keyboard. So this thing, basically, I've always prided myself in being a producer that use very little MIDI, only when absolutely necessary. I actually play drums, I play acoustic guitar, I can sing, I play a little bit of cello, I play a little bit of trombone, and that was always my claim to fame as a producer and composer. You weren't getting a MIDI track, you were getting actual instruments recorded, played by hand and recorded with microphones. And this is the first time that I'm actually happier using an emulation than the real thing, because it's so real sounding that for me it's virtually indistinguishable once it's recorded from a real cello, and it's much easier for me to play because I'm not a trained classical cellist. So when I do play acoustic cello, I have to, tune my notes, edit between a lot of takes, clean out any imperfections, and it's a lot of work. It ends up sounding okay. But with this thing, it's just super fast. I can play in tune, I can do my glissandi and vibrato, I can play pizzicato, I can do, pretty much anything I might need in a conventional musical situation. So why don't we go ahead and create a couple of more instances, 3 more, because this is going to be a cello quartet, right? Just grab a couple more of these cellos and throw them in here. Cello 2, cello 3, and cello 4. And on all of them, we're going to load the Linnstrument preset. Close, load, Linnstrument preset, close. And there's one left where I didn't do that. So I closed it before I loaded the preset. So let's do that. Load Linnstrument preset. And I also have to activate the MPE on each one. This one is already activated. This one activated too. Here's another one. And I need to double click. For some reason I have to double click on the show device panel to get that MPE thing to show up. And here's another one. Oh, and I forgot. I have to change all of these pitch bend ranges to 12. Right, so here's one. Double click on that. Plus or minus 12. Next one. Double click on the device panel. Double click on pitch bend range. Change it to 12. And that's it. Right now, all of my SWAM cellos. I should probably rename them. How do I rename it? Let's see. Rename. We'll call this cello 1. Rename cello 2. I just found out that Command R is the rename. Command R cello 3 and Command R cello 4. This is literally like the first thing I'm doing with Bitwig, so bear with me. So yeah, as I was saying with the this keyboard display down here, it's pretty. You can change it to a normal keyboard or whatnot, but it knows I'm using a Linnstrument, I guess. So as you can see, it shows the vertical movement, my side-to-side movement, including the vibrato. The velocity is how big the ball is, and how bright it is the intensity. So you get a very good graphic representation of what's going on here. So let's record a couple of takes, just one take for each cello, and hopefully we'll get a interesting, cool sounding Avant Garde cello ensemble piece. Oh, here's one more thing I want to do. I want to change the instrument. So we're going to use Roma S for the first one, Roma M for the second one, maybe Cremona S for the third one, and we'll use a Firenze for the fourth cello. Firenze S. I don't know what S or M mean, but we'll figure it out later. Close them up. So now each cello is going to have a slightly different timbre because it's actually modeled after a different physical instrument. Okay? So let's go. No metronome, no tonality, no preconceived notion or idea. I'm just going to improvise a first cello track and then overdub with the other ones. Here we go. Oh, not rename. I've programmed R to be record and spacebar to play and go. All right. Doesn't need to be very long, right? So there was one note there where I didn't feel great. That's the only thing I want to edit on this. So let's open the editor window here. Listen to that take I just did. I mostly like it, but there was one moment where I think it's right here. Right here. Yep. That note right there. So there's a way to edit this. I click on, is this it? Allow editing of micro pitch expressions within each note. See? So what I can do is sort of erase or move some of these micro tuning points to get them a little more in the ballpark, because I think I was trying to be microtonal, and it worked. Microtonal works better when you're not quantizing. The Linnstrument right now is quantizing the first note that I hit. Now let's hear that now. So that's a little better, but I still don't love it. So why don't I erase it? Let's get it out of micro tuning, select that note and just erase it and record something new over that. So this is the note, and let's record. I hope it's in MIDI overdub so it doesn't erase what I did before. That's much better. Okay, so let's call that done for the first cello. So let's record our second cello take. And I programmed W, just like on Reaper, to go back to the beginning of the session. And now I do like to look at my previous recording because I'll take visual cues from what I see. And those will help me play along, because I can't look at the other musician to see their hands and their bow move. So I have to look at the pre-recorded MIDI over here. Let's go again. Record, play. All right, I don't love it, but for the purposes of this exercise, we'll just go on. Next one, go. All right, that's getting a little better. Let's go to cello 4 now, and that'll be our last take. Back to the beginning, rec, play, go. Nice. Okay. Normally, what I'd probably do now would be to do a lot of editing, no? To remove whatever notes bother me, make some of the articulation better. But for the purposes of this exercise, I think we're just going to mix it a little bit. So I'm going to take off the keyboard here. I'm going to change this to device panel so we can see any plugins. I'm going to add an effect to the send 1 here, which will be a reverb, and I do like the Bitwig's own reverb. It's pretty good. Tried it out yesterday and it was okay. So now if I press M, I'll get to the mixer here, and I can send. There's already a send for each track for the reverb, so we're gonna bring those up, and let's span these a little bit, and maybe I'll put them like in order like this. So left, a little less left, a little more center, and a little more right. Now here, if I double click on any of these MIDI files, I get an editor window down here, which I can resize, and you see all of the pitch bend information. And I can also see, if I click on show on the edit window here, I can also see the expressions, right? So here's velocity, and here's pressure. So this is all my pressure data, which I can also edit. Like if I feel like I went too loud on one note, or if it's my fade out wasn't super fluid, I can fine tune my execution. And same with pitch. And here's the micro pitch, right? So by grabbing up here, I can zoom. And yeah, this is what I was having trouble in other programs with the editing for my super expressive Linnstrument recordings. Now let's go back to the mixer now and finally listen to my last mix. I think I'll make the reverb a little bit longer and make it a hall rather than a room. That sounds nice. So that's it. I'm just going to consider this my final mix. We'll listen to it together and call it a day. That'll be the video for today. I'm going to do another one just like this one for the clarinets, which I have the bass clarinet and the B-flat clarinet. And I also got their saxophone suite. So I have baritone, tenor, alto, and soprano. That's going to be a cool piece. So stay tuned. The next two videos will be just like this one, but with other instruments that I want to demonstrate from the SWAM instrument collection by Audio Modeling in Italy. All right, let's listen to this, and I'll see you soon. Please like, subscribe, join my Patreon, etc. Yada, yada, yada. Bye. Stay noisy.